Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. Today I'm going to show you guys a delicious fall recipe and a little bit of a cheat to get there. I love it. We're going to do a pumpkin ravioli with a sage brown butter. First, we are going to make our mixture, and we're going to take, you can use canned pumpkin, put it into a bowl, and it's totally fine if you want to cook your own pumpkin. That is fine. Yeah, I will tell you that I've done it before. It is very time consuming. You would scrape the innards of the pumpkin out and boil it down, take out the seeds and so on and so forth, and then mash up your pumpkin. Or you can simply buy it in a can in your grocery store and mix it up that way. What we have here is canned pumpkin, and I'm going to separate an egg. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add about 1/4 cup or so of Parmesan cheese, a little salt, a little black pepper. I believe your recipe is going to call for a mascarpone cheese, which is a high-end Italian cream cheese. Regular cream cheese is totally fine to substitute for that. They're both they're good. The mascarpone probably would be a little bit creamier, but they're equally as good for this particular recipe. So we've got that in there. We're going to do about 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and pumpkin. There's fall flavors right there if I've ever heard them. And we're going to do about 1.5 teaspoons of balsamic vinegar. Going to go ahead and squeeze in 1 teaspoon or so of lime juice. So we've got about 1 teaspoon or so of lime juice in our mixture. In the meantime, while we are getting this mixed up, I've actually got some butter melting on my stove here, and we're making a sage butter. I've got sage that I've reserved from my own garden and let it dry. I melted a stick of butter. It's starting to turn brown, as you can see. Absolutely, you can smell it. It's wonderful. This is actually going to toast those sage leaves, and we're going to serve it over top of the ravioli when they're done. So we're going to separate our egg. We want the yolk in the mixture, and we want the white for when we seal the raviolis. I like to do what I call hand-to-hand combat when we separate an egg. Just want to open that up. We want the white to go in one part of the bowl. There we go. And we want the yolk to go into our mixture. So we're going to mix everything together. Your cream cheese or mascarpone, whichever one you choose to use, should be somewhat at room temperature, else it would not break down very easily in this mixture. It is breaking down, which is nice. Oh, this smells heavenly. I think probably one of my favorite flavors of this particular recipe is that ground nutmeg. All right, now for that little cheat that I mentioned there at the beginning. I love using these wrappers for things. You know, basically, ravioli could be done with fresh pasta if you wanted. That is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. But a little cheat would be to use the wonton wrappers that you get in the Asian section of your grocery store. We've got them here on the cutting board. And we're going to put a couple out here. They are somewhat thin, so just try to grab no more than one. And now you have a choice, actually. We can either make a whole ravioli and use 2 sheets, or we can make a half ravioli and fold it over as a triangle. In this case, I'm going to say let's do a half, okay? So we're just going to take our spoon and our mixture here. And you'll learn quick enough how much is too much when you try to seal these things, so you really don't want to go overboard. So considering that we're doing a half, we're just going to do maybe 1 teaspoon of filling per wrapper. And we like to kind of do an assembly line so you get all your chores done at once and then come back to the final seal of the ravioli. And we want to make sure that we have our water on to boil for the ravioli. So now that I've got the filling in the middle, I'm going to take our egg white that we saved, and we're just going to whip it up a little bit with a fork. You know, I've been a chef for over 20 years, and I still use a fork to whip up an egg as opposed to a whisk. And we're going to take a little basting brush. Now, you want to go ahead and baste the entire wonton wrapper, because if you don't, you're going to end up with it not being sealed, and you don't want this to come open when it boils in the water. And you want to have a plastic lined sheet tray waiting for you. And you want to go ahead and bring one corner over. You can pick it up very gently and start to seal it. Using your fingertips, just go around and push all the air out. And you can see the filling right in the middle. Be careful if you have fingernails, because it will pierce those wrappers very easily. The key was to make sure that you've brushed the entire wrapper with that egg white. Lay it on your plastic tray, let your water come to a boil, and then you're going to have ravioli. All right, and now our raviolis are sealed. We brushed each wonton wrapper with the egg white, put our filling into the middle there, and our water is boiling, so we're going to come over and drop a few in. These only take about 2 to 3 minutes, guys, so they won't take very long at all, and they're going to float to the top. I'm going to drop them in very gently. You don't want to grab a handful by any means. I'm going to drop in about 6 or so. Let those cook. Now, as you could see from the recipe, it made quite a bit of filling. I have actually made these before and froze that filling instead of using it all. Or you could actually make the wontons as well, the raviolis, and freeze them on a sheet tray with plastic. Just make sure they don't touch each other, and then because when they thaw out, they will stick together. So while the rest of them are cooking there, we've got our delicious sage brown butter that we're now going to top that ravioli with. When I serve this, I always encourage people to taste that sage. That toasted flavor is absolutely incredible. And if you're growing sage in your garden, what a great way to use this. It's perfect. That delicious brown butter. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this. And there you have it, pumpkin ravioli with the sage brown butter. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.